YouTubers, welcome to my channel Try It Yourself, and today's project, oil change in my Ford Escape 1.5 liter EcoBoost. If this video will be helpful for you, don't forget to give me a like for this video to promote this video, and if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do so, that will help me too. Before you start the project, make sure you have a few key things. Like today is a rainy day, so I'm doing it inside the garage. And if you're inside the garage, make sure you have something to cover the floor, to cover from possible spills and stuff like that. If your vehicle is low enough, ramp is very helpful. A few old t-shirts to make rags, a oil container, and obviously make sure you have the proper filter, which you can look at the store. I personally use for a while Mobil 1 products, so for the Ford Focus, by the way, for that matter, and my Ford Escape, that's M1-102A. That's the one, and I'm using synthetic oil. And this one, as you can see, protect for 20,000 miles guaranteed. And in my case, Ford has 5W-20 oil, so make sure you have all of this stuff. And if you don't know, by the way, it takes about 4.5 quarts of oil, this engine in Ford Escape. This is one of 1.5 liter right here. It actually says EcoBoost. If you don't know where your drain hole is, it's always on the lowest part of the engine. So right here, and that's your bolt. In Ford, this is 13mm wrench. Normally people seem to think that half-inch and 13mm is the same. Well, half-inch is going to be just a little bit too small for this. So it's a 13mm wrench to remove this bolt, or socket, whatever whatever you prefer. And you have to remember, again, when you change the oil, make sure that your engine is warm, so the oil will get out of the motor a lot faster. So another thing is, when you take the bolt out, it's going to be shooting farther, so when you're going to put the draining pan over here to collect oil, don't put just right under. Make sure you slide it to compensate that a little bit forward. You need just a little bit force to break the screw, and after that just take it by hand. And normally I hold my hand above the bolt, so see, when I start dripping over here, I try to stay clean as long as possible. So you spin a few times until you know for sure it's out, and that's it. And now when the first splash is done, you can move the pan closer to the center and let it dry, let it drain. Wait to the point until oil start running and start dripping, like so. At this point you can replace the bolt. You don't have to wait until the very last drop of the oil will get out, because this could take forever. So you start the bolt always with your hand, by the way, anywhere, especially on the engine. And then when it stops over here, a little bit more force to tighten it up. See if there's potential oil here, wipe it up, and we're done with this part. Oil filter located in front of the engine. So this is the oil pan. Behind all those hoses, right here, it's gonna be a little bit tricky to show you with the camera, but it's over there in front of those hoses. So right here, if right there, that's where the oil filter is. So it's gonna be impossible to remove it without basically getting oil all over these hoses. So this is gonna be a little bit tricky, but not too much. You're just gonna have to wipe up a little bit more when you're done. Same deal, move the draining pan right under the filter. When you loose the filter up, you're still gonna have some old oil dripping from over there, so you got to be careful not to get spilled on. Stick your hand in there, loosen up, and wait until the rest of the oil will drain from this filter. When the most of the oil is out, you can slowly start unscrewing the filter. When you unscrew it, try to take it vertical like this, so contain as much inside as you can. So by the way, make sure you wear rubber gloves, that's the best. You still have plenty oil left in the filter, so that's why you gotta be a little careful. When you install the brand new filter, never put it on the dry rubber. So what I do, I just stick it in the pan, or you can do it with a finger. Make sure you have a wet with oil the rubber gasket. Put it on. When it stops, make another half of the turn. That's it. And at this point, you just wipe up all of these hoses and everything that spilled, all these hoses, tubes. With this kind of setup, it's pretty much close to impossible to make it clean removal of the oil filter. Open the oil cap, stick your flannel, and remember, Ford Escape 1.5 liter takes 4.5, so the full jar has 5 quarts, so I'm gonna have to leave Over here on the edge you can see markings, liters on one side, quarts on the other side. So I gotta have to stop at the half quart. Just like that. I have half of it left. That's it. That's the 4.5 quarts of oil put in the engine. Now carefully remove the funnel. It's going to be dripping oil, so have a rag. Put the cap on. And this is the oil dipstick over here right beside it, but you gotta wait a little bit, give some time for the oil to get to the bottom of the engine before you actually check the level. And while you're waiting for the oil to get down to the bottom of the engine, you have a good time to double check the other liquids in your vehicle. So this right here is your brake fluid, and you can see on the sides over here the minimum and maximum marks, so make sure you're good over here, which I am. Right here, this is your coolant reservoir, so your antifreeze, same deal, maximum and minimum levels, double check here. And this is your windshield fluid, so double check if you're okay over here, and then you can finish it up with the oil change. When you wait it after 5 or 10 minutes, remove the dipstick, wipe it out from the whatever old oil, stick it back in there all the way in. Right here, make sure you stay within minimum and maximum mark. So I'm just a little bit over maximum, but you have, like in my case, I guess I should have put a little bit less oil, but then again, filter at this point is empty, so when the motor is gonna start running for a little bit, let it circulate and double check. At this point, take the vehicle off the ramp, let it run for a minute or two, shut it down, let the oil drain down again, double check at that point, double check under the vehicle, make sure nothing is dripping. Take the oil from your oil pan, put it back in the jar, and you can recycle it in any auto parts store. So that's how you change the oil in a Ford Escape 1.5 liter engine, and this is pretty much how you do it in any other vehicle. Thank you and good luck.